The morning sun cast long shadows across Seoul, as the Veltani observation team finished setting up their hidden cameras throughout the city. Commander Kael Vorthak stood in their mountain base, watching dozens of screens that showed different parts of the human settlement. What he saw made no sense according to everything he knew about predator behavior. Dr. Shen Korvai pointed to one screen. "Look at this, Commander. The apex predators are everywhere, but they show no signs of hunting behavior." On the screen, a woman jogged through a park with a large predator running beside her. The creature could easily bring down the woman, but instead it matched her pace perfectly. When she stopped to rest, it sat beside her and waited. "Perhaps they hunt at night," suggested Velkorin. "Many predator species prefer darkness." Shen shook her head. "I monitored the city all night. The predators sleep inside human dwellings. They share the same living spaces as their supposed prey." Kael studied another screen. A small human child was walking with one of the massive predators. The creature was easily 3 times the child's weight and armed with deadly fangs, yet it walked calmly beside the tiny human. When the child stumbled, the predator gently helped steady the young one with its nose. "This makes no biological sense," Kael muttered. "Apex predators do not care for the young of other species, they eat them." Down in the city, Dr. Park Ji-ho arrived at his animal hospital for another day of work. He unlocked the door and immediately heard the excited barking of his patients. The sound always made him smile. To him it was the sound of animals who were happy to see a friend. He walked to the first cage where a small beagle named Lucy was recovering from surgery. When she saw him, her whole body wiggled with joy. Her tail wagged so fast it was just a blur. "Good morning, Lucy," Ji-ho said softly. He opened the cage and carefully examined her stitches. "You are healing perfectly. Your family will be so happy." Lucy tried to lick his hands as he worked. Even though she was in pain, she seemed to trust him completely. This trust had always amazed Ji-ho. Animals could sense when someone wanted to help them. Hidden cameras recorded every moment. In their mountain base, the Veltani team watched in confusion as Park Ji-ho handled creature after creature. Each one could kill him easily, yet they all acted calm and cooperative. "He must be using some kind of mind control device," Velkorin said. "That is the only explanation." "I detect no technology," Shen replied, checking her instruments. "He appears to be controlling them with simple vocal sounds and gentle touches." At the Marine Research Center, Dr. Kim Nari was having her own strange morning. The dolphins had returned to her station for the 4th day in a row. This time they brought friends. "Professor Kim, come quickly," called Cho Dong-yun from the observation deck. "You will not believe this." Kim rushed outside and gasped. At least 30 dolphins surrounded their research platform. They were swimming in perfect circles, occasionally leaping out of the water. It looked almost like they were performing. "Why are they doing this?" Dong-yun asked. "It is like they want our attention." Kim grabbed her hydrophone and lowered it into the water. The dolphins were making sounds she had never heard before. Complex patterns of clicks and whistles that seemed almost like they were trying to communicate something specific. "Record everything," she told Dong-yun. "I want to analyze these sounds later." What Kim did not know was that the dolphins were reacting to the alien technology hidden in the mountains. Their sensitive hearing could detect the electromagnetic fields from the Veltani equipment. They were trying to warn the humans about the strange new presence in their territory. The Veltani team expanded their observations throughout the day. They watched humans and predators interact in dozens of different situations. Each observation raised more questions. On one screen, they saw a human police officer working with a large black predator. The creature used its enhanced senses to track criminals. But when they found their target, the predator only held the criminal down. It did not kill or eat the captured human. "The predator is working for the humans," Shen said in amazement. "It is hunting other humans and delivering them alive to its human partner." "But why?" Kyle asked. "What does the predator gain from this cooperation?" They watched as the police officer praised the predator and gave it a small treat. The creature's tail wagged with happiness at this simple reward. It seems pleased by the human's approval. Velcorin observed. But that cannot be right. Apex predators do not seek approval from prey species. Another screen showed a human family in their home. 3 small predators lived with them, including one that was barely larger than a human infant. The tiny predator slept in a soft bed, played with colorful toys, and ate food from a special bowl. They are treating the predator like offspring, Shen said. The humans are providing food, shelter, and care without getting anything obvious in return. The most confusing sight was at a large open area where dozens of humans and predators gathered together. The humans threw small objects and the predators chased them, bringing them back for the humans to throw again. Both species seemed to enjoy this pointless activity. It appears to be some kind of ritual, Kale said. But what is its purpose? As the day continued, the team documented hundreds of interactions. In every case, the predators showed the same strange behavior. They were protective of humans, especially human children. They obeyed human commands. They seemed to genuinely enjoy human company. Park Jiho finished his workday and prepared to go home. His own companion, a golden retriever named Buddy, waited patiently by his car. When Jiho appeared, Buddy's excitement was immediate and obvious. "Ready to go home, boy?" Jiho asked, scratching Buddy's head. Buddy barked once and jumped into the car. As they drove through the city, the alien cameras followed them. The Velthani watched as Jiho stopped at a park and let Buddy run free. The powerful predator could have escaped easily, but instead it played for a few minutes, then returned to Jiho's side. The predator chooses to stay with the human, Shen noted, even when given the opportunity to leave. That evening, Kim Nari stayed late at the research center trying to understand the dolphin behavior. She played back the recordings of their sounds, looking for patterns. What she found surprised her. The dolphins seemed to be repeating certain sound sequences over and over. It reminded her of how dolphins called to their young when they were separated. Could they be trying to get the humans to follow them somewhere? "Dongyan, look at this," she called to her assistant. "These patterns are too organized to be random. The dolphins are definitely trying to communicate something specific." As night fell over Seoul, the Velthani team prepared for round-the-clock monitoring. They had observed for one full day and learned nothing except that everything they knew about predator behavior was wrong. Kale studied the data reports that Shen had prepared. Every measurement confirmed the same impossible facts. These creatures had all the physical capabilities of perfect killers, but they used those abilities to protect and serve the humans instead of dominating them. "Commander, I have a theory," Shen said quietly. "What if these are not natural apex predators? What if they are some kind of biological weapon that the humans created?" "You mean artificial creatures?" Kyle asked. "It would explain their behavior. If humans designed them to be loyal servants, that would account for their strange actions." Velcorin shook his head. "But the genetic scans show they are natural creatures. They have evolved over thousands of years." "Then how do you explain their behavior?" Shen demanded. The 3 aliens stared at their screens, watching humans and predators living together in perfect harmony. Somewhere in Seoul, children were falling asleep with deadly creatures curled up beside their beds. Police officers were trusting their lives to predator partners. Families were feeding and caring for creatures that could kill them all in seconds. "We need more data," Kale decided. "Tomorrow we expand our observations. I want to see every type of interaction between these species. There has to be an explanation for this impossible relationship." What the Velthani did not understand was that they were witnessing something that had never happened anywhere else in the galaxy. They were seeing the result of mutual evolution, where 2 species had grown together over thousands of years. The predators had not conquered the humans, and the humans had not enslaved the predators. Instead, they had become partners. And that partnership was about to teach the galaxy something new about the power of cooperation over domination. The silver ship moved through space like a silent shadow. Inside the bridge, Commander Kyle Vorthak stared at the blue planet floating before them. His forearms crossed over his chest as he studied the readings on his screen. Earth looked peaceful from this distance, but looks could be deadly wrong. "Commander, we are ready to begin the assessment," said Dr. Shen Korvai. She was the best xenobiologist in the Galactic Council fleet. Her job was simple, but dangerous. Find the apex predator of any new world. Study it. Make sure it would not threaten other species when contact was made. Kale nodded his large head. His species, the Velthani, had learned this lesson the hard way. 300 years ago, they had welcomed the Kron Empire without proper assessment. The Kron had nearly destroyed half the galaxy before they were stopped. Never again would the Council make that mistake. What do the scans show? Kyle asked. Shen looked at her instruments. Her 3 eyes blinked in sequence as she read the data. The dominant species appears to be bipedal. They call themselves humans. Average height is about 1.7 meters. They have no natural weapons like claws or fangs, no armor plating, no poison glands. Sounds weak, said Velkorin, the youngest member of the team. He was eager to prove himself on his first assessment mission. Do not be fooled, Kale warned. The weakest-looking species often hide the greatest dangers. What else do the scans show? Shen frowned. That is where it gets strange, Commander. The scans detect another species living alongside the humans. The readings are concerning. She pressed a button and a holographic image appeared. It showed a 4-legged creature with pointed ears and a long tail. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. Its body was built for running and fighting. These creatures show all the signs of a perfect predator, Shen continued. Bite force of 1/500 newtons, pack hunting intelligence, enhanced senses for tracking prey. They appear to be the true rulers of this planet. Kyle studied the image. How many of these predators are there? Over 900 million worldwide, sir. The bridge fell silent. Nearly 1 billion apex predators on one planet was unheard of. Most worlds could barely support a few thousand before they destroyed their ecosystem. And the humans? Kyle asked. About 8 billion. Velkorin gasped. The predators are outnumbered. How is that possible? Shen shook her head. I do not understand it either. By all biological laws, a species this dangerous should have either killed off their prey or been controlled by them. But the scans show both species living together across the entire planet. Kyle made his decision. We go down for a closer look. Prepare the observation protocols. I want to understand what we are dealing with before we make contact. Far below on Earth, Dr. Park Jiho was having a normal morning. He walked into his animal hospital in Seoul and turned on the lights. The familiar sounds of barking and meowing greeted him. He smiled and went to check on his patients. In the first cage was a golden retriever named Max. The dog had been hit by a car 3 days ago. His leg was healing well. When Max saw Jiho, his tail began wagging so hard, his whole body shook. Good morning, boy, Jiho said softly. He opened the cage and Max immediately tried to lick his face. How are you feeling today? Max's owner, an elderly woman named Mrs. Chen, arrived an hour later. Tears filled her eyes when she saw her dog walking, normally again. Thank you so much, Dr. Park, she said. Max is all I have left since my husband died. I do not know what I would do without him. Jiho watched as the woman hugged the large dog. Max was gentle with her, careful not to knock her over with his excitement. It was a scene Jiho had witnessed thousands of times, but it never stopped amazing him. Across the city, Dr. Kim Nari was starting her day at the Marine Research Center. She was studying whale migration patterns in the waters around Korea. Her equipment had been picking up strange readings for the past week. Professor Kim, you should see this, called her research assistant Cho Dongyun. He was pointing at the sonar display. The dolphins are acting weird again. Kim looked at the screen. A pod of dolphins was swimming in perfect formation toward their research station. This was the 3rd time this week they had done this. It is like they are trying to tell us something, Dongyun said. Kim nodded. Marine animals often behaved strangely before earthquakes or storms, but the weather was perfect, and there had been no seismic activity. High above them, the Velthani ship began its descent. It was invisible to human technology, protected by advanced stealth systems. Commander Kale chose a landing site in the mountains outside Seoul. From there, they could observe without being detected. Begin setting up the monitoring equipment, Kale ordered. I want cameras and sensors throughout the city. Focus on areas where the predator species gather. As the team worked, Captain Lee Min-ho of the Korean Coast Guard was patrolling the waters near Busan. Beside him in the patrol boat sat his partner of 5 years, a German shepherd named Rex. The dog watched the horizon with alert eyes, his ears moving constantly to catch every sound. Quiet day, Rex, Min-ho said, scratching the dog behind the ears. Rex leaned into the touch, his tail wagging slightly. Maybe we will actually get to finish our patrol without any emergencies. As if summoned by his words, the radio crackled. To life. Coast Guard Unit 7, we have reports of a strange object in the sky near your position. Please investigate. Min-ho picked up the radio. Unit 7 responding. What kind of object? Unknown. Civilian pilots are reporting something large moving through the clouds. It appeared on radar for a few seconds, then vanished. Min-ho looked up at the clear sky. Rex was also looking up, his head tilted. The dog's superior senses often detected things humans missed. Do you see anything, boy? Min-ho asked. Rex whined softly and continued staring upward. His body was tense, but not afraid. More like he was curious about something new. Above them, hidden by advanced technology, the Velthani observation team was setting up their equipment. They had no idea that the creature they considered Earth's most dangerous predator was sitting calmly in a boat below them, more concerned about his human partner than any potential threat. Dr. Shen Korvai calibrated her sensors and began the first scans of Seoul. What she saw on her screens made no sense. Everywhere she looked, the deadly predators were living peacefully alongside humans. They walked on leashes down busy streets. They sat in cars with human families. Children played. With them in parks, Commander, she called. You need to see this. Kyle looked at her display. A human child was throwing a ball to one of the predators. The creature caught it and brought it back, tail wagging. Then the child hugged the predator around the neck. The human young are interacting. With the apex predators, Shen said in disbelief. Either these humans have no survival instincts or we are missing something very important. Kale watched the scene for a long moment. In his experience, apex predators did not play games. They hunted. They killed. They dominated their territory. Yet these creatures seemed more interested in pleasing the humans than eating them. Continue monitoring, he ordered. I want to understand this relationship before we make any contact. Something here does not follow the laws of nature as we know them. As the sun set over Seoul, the Velthani team settled in for a long night of observation. They had expected to find a world ruled by vicious predators. Instead, they had found something far more puzzling. The most dangerous creatures on Earth seemed to have chosen to serve their supposed prey willingly. What they did not yet understand was that they were witnessing something unique in the galaxy. They were seeing the result of thousands of years of friendship, loyalty, and love between two species who had chosen to evolve together rather than against each other. The real mystery was not how humans had survived alongside Earth's apex predators. It was how they had convinced these predators to become their willing partners in building a civilization, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 3 weeks had passed since the Velthani team began watching Seoul. Commander Kale Vorthak stood before the main display screen, his forearms crossed in frustration. Everything they had observed broke the basic rules of nature as the galactic community understood them. Dr. Shen Korvai pointed to a new recording. Commander, this footage from yesterday will interest you. Dr. Park Ji-ho visited what humans call a dog park. The screen showed a large open area filled with grass. At least 40 of the apex predators ran freely while humans sat on benches or walked among them. Park Ji-ho stood in the center, completely surrounded by the dangerous creatures. Look at their body language, Shen continued. My instruments read them as being in relaxed hunting formation. They should be preparing to attack, but instead they are playing. Kyle watched as a massive predator, easily capable of killing any human in the area, gently took a small ball from a child's hand. The creature's powerful jaws could crush bone, but it held the toy so carefully it did not even leave teeth marks. The small human shows no fear, noted Velkorin. Either these humans have no survival instincts, or they know something we do not understand. On another screen, they watched Dr. Kim Nari at her marine research station. The dolphins had been visiting her every day for 3 weeks now. Today, they had brought whale friends. Kim Nari stood on her research platform, watching in amazement as 3 humpback whales surfaced near her station. The massive creatures could easily destroy her small platform, but they moved with careful precision to avoid causing any damage. "Dongyun, are you recording this?" she called to her assistant. Cho Dongyun nodded, his camera capturing everything. "Professor, I have never seen whales and dolphins cooperate like this. It is like they are working together to get our attention." One of the whales made a long, deep call that vibrated through the water and up through the platform. Kim felt the sound in her bones. The dolphins answered with their own complex series of clicks and whistles. "They are definitely trying to communicate," Kim said. "But what are they trying to tell us?" Unknown to her, the marine animals were becoming increasingly agitated by the alien technology hidden in the mountains. Their sensitive hearing detected the strange electromagnetic patterns that the Velthani equipment produced. The whales and dolphins were trying to warn the humans about the foreign presence in their territory. Back at the Velthani observation post, the team witnessed something that would change their understanding completely. The breakthrough came during what humans called a rescue operation. A young boy had been playing near the Han River when he slipped and fell into the fast-moving water. The current was strong and the child could not swim well enough to save himself. His desperate calls for help echoed across the water. Before any adult human could react, 3 predators that had been walking with their human companions leaped into the river without hesitation. The Velthani instruments tracked their movement as they swam against the current toward the drowning child. "They are abandoning their strategic positions," Velkorin said in confusion. Why would apex predators risk themselves for prey? The first predator, a large German shepherd, reached the boy and positioned itself so the child could grab onto its thick fur. The other 2 predators swam on either side, helping to guide them both toward shore. Kale watched the rescue with growing amazement. They are working as a coordinated pack, but their goal is to save the human, not to hunt it. On shore, dozens of humans had gathered to help. When the predators reached shallow water, human hands pulled both the child and his rescuers to safety. The boy was crying but unhurt. The first thing he did was hug the soaking wet German shepherd that had saved his life. "The human young is showing gratitude to the predator," Shen observed. "And look at the predator's response." The German shepherd's tail wagged weakly as it panted from exhaustion. Despite being tired from the rescue, it gently licked the child's face and stayed close to comfort him. "This behavior makes no evolutionary sense," Kale said quietly. "Predators do not risk their lives to save other species. They certainly do not show emotional attachment to prey animals." Dr. Park Ji-ho arrived at the scene 20 minutes later, in response to an emergency call. One of the rescue predators was showing signs of exhaustion from fighting the strong current. Ji-ho immediately began examining the tired animal. The Velthani watched as Ji-ho spoke gently to the large predator while checking its breathing and heart rate. The creature, despite being capable of killing the human instantly, lay still and allowed the examination. "Thank you, hero," Ji-ho said softly, using the name tag on the predator's collar. "You did something very brave today." Hero's tail gave a small wag at the praise. Even in exhaustion, the predator seemed pleased by the human's approval. "The predator values the human's opinion," Shen said in disbelief. "It seeks emotional rewards, not material ones." That evening, the Velthani team held an emergency meeting. The rescue incident had shattered their understanding of predator behavior completely. "I have reviewed all known data on apex predator species across the galaxy," Shen reported. "No species has ever displayed protective behavior toward other intelligent life forms. They compete, they hunt, they dominate. They do not sacrifice themselves for the benefit of prey species." Velkorin pulled up genetic analysis data on his screen. The DNA scans confirm these creatures evolved from natural predators. They are not artificial constructs, yet their behavior suggests they have been fundamentally changed. "Changed how?" Kale asked. "I do not know, Commander. The genetic markers show they are still apex predators in every physical sense. Enhanced bite force, pack hunting instincts, superior sensory capabilities. But something has altered their behavioral programming at a fundamental level. Meanwhile, in Seoul, life continued as normal for the humans who had no idea they were being watched. Park Ji-ho returned to his clinic and found a message waiting from the owner of Hero, the German shepherd, who had helped rescue the boy. Doctor, Park, Hero seems tired after his big swim today. Could you check him tomorrow to make sure he is okay? He is getting older and I worry about him overexerting himself to help others. Thank you. Ji-ho smiled as he read the message. Hero had always been a special dog. Even among the many wonderful animals he treated, the dog seemed to understand that helping others was important, and he never hesitated to act when someone needed help. At the Marine Research Center, Kim Nari was working late again, trying to decode the whale and dolphin communications. She had isolated several sound patterns that repeated consistently across different visits. Dong-hyun, look at this analysis, she called. Her assistant came over to her computer. These sound patterns match distress calls that dolphins use when they detect danger, Kim explained. But they are not acting afraid. They are acting like they want us to pay attention to something. Maybe they detected something in the water that we missed, Dong-hyun suggested. Maybe. But what could make whales and dolphins work together like this? They are telling us something, but I cannot figure out what it is. High in the mountains, Commander Kale Vorthak made a decision that would change everything. Tomorrow we begin direct observation. I want someone close enough to record conversations between humans and these predators. We need to understand how they communicate. That could be dangerous, Commander, Shen warned. If we are discovered, the danger of misunderstanding this situation is greater than the risk of discovery, Kyle replied. The Galactic Council needs accurate information about these species before any contact is made. What we have observed suggests either the greatest deception in galactic history or something completely new. As Seoul settled into night, the alien watchers prepared for their most daring observation yet. Children across the city fell asleep with deadly predators curled up beside their beds, trusting creatures that could kill them with a single bite. The predators, for their part, took their guardian duties seriously. They listened for any sound that might threaten their human families. Their powerful senses remained alert even in sleep, ready to protect those they loved. The Veltani team had come to assess a threat. Instead, they had discovered something that challenged everything they thought they knew about the relationship between intelligent species. Tomorrow, they would learn that the truth was even more incredible than they could imagine. Commander Kale Vorthak made the decision to get closer. After watching the river rescue, he needed to understand the impossible relationship between humans and their supposed predators. His team would establish monitoring posts throughout Seoul, close enough to record actual conversations. Dr. Shen Korvai objected to the plan. Commander, if we are discovered, it could create a diplomatic incident before official contact. The risk is acceptable, Kyle replied. The Galactic Council needs to understand what we are dealing with. These observations will determine how we approach this species. They chose Dr. Park Ji-ho as their primary subject. For 1 week, hidden cameras and listening devices would track every moment of his interaction with the apex predators he called dogs. What they discovered revolutionized their understanding of both species. The first shock came at 6 a.m. when Park Ji-ho woke up. A large golden retriever named Buddy was sleeping on the floor beside his bed. When Ji-ho stirred, Buddy immediately stood and wagged his tail. Good morning, Buddy, Ji-ho said, scratching the predator's head. Ready for breakfast? The Velthani team watched in amazement as Ji-ho prepared food for the creature that could kill him at any moment. Buddy sat patiently, drool forming at the corners of his mouth, but he did not take the food until Ji-ho gave permission. The predator is showing complete submission to the human, Velkorin noted. But why? The human has no physical advantages. Watch the predator's body language, Shen instructed. It is not submission from fear. The creature appears genuinely happy to follow the human's commands. After breakfast, Ji-ho and Buddy walked to the animal hospital. On the way, They passed dozens of other humans with their own predator companions. Each pair seemed to have their own unique relationship, but all showed the same pattern of cooperation. At the hospital, Jiho's day began with a difficult case. A small chihuahua had been attacked by a larger animal and needed surgery. As Jiho worked, Buddy lay quietly in the corner of the room, watching but not interfering. The pack leader is performing medical care on an injured pack member, observed Kyle. But these are different packs. Why would he help? The answer became clear when the Chihuahua's human family arrived. An elderly man and woman were crying with worry about their tiny companion. When Jiho assured them the surgery was successful, their relief was obvious. "Dr. Park, thank you so much," the woman said. "Princess means everything to us. She is all we have." Jiho smiled gently. "I understand completely. Princess will be fine. She is a strong little fighter." The Velthani instruments detected elevated stress hormones in the humans when their predator was injured, and relief hormones when assured of recovery. The emotional bond was real and measurable. That afternoon brought an even more incredible sight. Dr. Kim Nari had convinced her research team to follow the dolphins to see what they were trying to show them. The marine animals led them to a section of ocean where the water was unusually clear. "Dongyun, do you see that?" Kim pointed. Into the depths. Below them, several dolphins were swimming in precise patterns around what looked like a large piece of metal debris. But as Kim studied it more carefully, she realized it was not debris at all. "That is not natural," she said. "The shape is too regular, too purposeful." What Kim was seeing was part of the Velthani monitoring equipment that had been placed on the ocean floor. The dolphins had discovered it and were trying to show the humans that something foreign was in their territory. Cho Dong-hyun prepared his underwater camera. "Should we dive down to investigate?" "Not yet," Kim decided. "Let us observe from here first. I want to understand what the dolphins are trying to tell us." Back in Seoul, the Velthani team was witnessing something that challenged their basics understanding of evolution. They watched Officer Song Min-jae arrive at work with his partner, a German shepherd named Thor. The police station was a busy place, full of human officers preparing for their shifts. Thor moved through the crowded room with confidence, but he was careful never to bump into anyone or get in their way. "The predator shows situational awareness," Shen noted. "It understands the social structure of the human pack and respects it." Song Min-jae received a call about a missing child in Gangnam district. He and Thor immediately responded, driving through the busy Seoul streets with sirens wailing. At the scene, a frantic mother explained that her 5-year-old daughter had wandered away from a playground. The child had been missing for 2 hours and could be anywhere in the crowded city. Song Min-jae gave Thor a piece of the child's clothing to smell. The predator's enhanced senses immediately locked onto the scent trail. But instead of racing off to hunt, Thor looked back at his human partner as if asking for permission to begin. "Find her, Thor," Song Min-jae commanded. What followed amazed the watching aliens. Thor tracked the child through busy streets, around buildings, and into a large department store. His nose led them to a bathroom on the 3rd floor where the little girl was hiding, too scared and confused to come out on her own. When Thor found her, he did not grab her with his powerful jaws. Instead, he sat down and wagged his tail, making soft whining sounds to let her know he was friendly. "The predator is communicating reassurance to the human young," Kyle observed. "It has found prey but chooses to comfort instead of attack." The child smiled when she saw Thor and reached out to pet him. Thor stood still and let her touch his face, his tail wagging gently. When Song Min-jae arrived moments later, the child was hugging Thor around the neck. "This predator shows incredible restraint," Shen said. "It could have easily harmed the vulnerable human, but instead it provided protection and comfort." The most disturbing observation came that evening when the team monitored a human home. Volunteer Lim So-young ran an animal shelter from her house, caring for predators that had been abandoned by other humans. The Velthani watched as she fed and cared for creatures that showed clear signs of previous mistreatment. Some had scars from fights. Others were thin from starvation. A few showed behavioral signs of having been abused by humans. These predators have been harmed by humans, Velkorin noted. They should be hostile and aggressive. They should seek revenge. Instead, the abandoned predators showed the same desire for human companionship as the well-treated ones. When So-young approached with food, their tails wagged hopefully. When she spoke gently to them, they listened with focused attention. The predators do not seem capable of holding grudges, Shen observed. Even after mistreatment, they still seek positive relationships with humans. So-young sat on the floor of her main room, surrounded by a dozen different predators of various sizes. Some were large enough to kill her easily, but they all lay peacefully around her as she read from a book. Once upon a time, she read aloud, there was a little girl who lived in the forest with her grandmother. The predators seemed to enjoy the sound of her voice. Several had their heads resting on her legs or feet. One small predator was actually sleeping in her lap. She is treating apex predators like offspring, Kale said quietly, and they are responding as if they enjoy the care. The final revelation of the day came when Park Ji-ho returned home. Buddy greeted him at the door with the same enthusiasm as that morning, as if they had been separated for months instead of hours. Did you have a good day, boy? Ji-ho asked, scratching behind Buddy's ears. Buddy's response was to bring Ji-ho his favorite toy, a worn tennis ball. He dropped it at Ji-ho's feet and looked up expectantly. You want to play? Ji-ho asked. Okay, but just for a few minutes. I need to make dinner. The Velthani watched as the human and predator played a simple game of fetch in the small apartment. Ji-ho threw the ball and Buddy brought it back over and over again. Both seemed to genuinely enjoy this repetitive activity. The predator is engaging in non-productive behavior for the sole purpose of pleasing the human, Shen noted. There is no survival benefit to this activity, yet both species seem to value it. As night fell over Seoul, the Velthani team compiled their data from the week of close observation. Every measurement confirmed the same impossible pattern. The apex predators of Earth had somehow evolved to seek human approval rather than human flesh. Commander, Shen said quietly, I think we need to consider a possibility that challenges everything we know about evolution. What possibility? Kale asked. What if these predators chose to evolve this way? What if the relationship with humans provided advantages that were greater than the advantages of remaining pure predators? Velkorin shook his head. That suggests cooperation can be more beneficial than competition. It goes against every law of natural selection. Does it? Shen asked. Look at what these predators have gained. Guaranteed food, medical care, protection from other predators, and reproduction opportunities managed by humans to ensure healthy offspring. They have traded their independence for security and partnership. Kyle studied the screens showing humans and predators sleeping peacefully together throughout the city, children curled up with creatures that could kill them, adults trusting their safety to animals that had evolved to hunt. If this is true, he said slowly, then we are witnessing something that has never been documented in galactic history. We are seeing two species that evolved together instead of against each other. The implications were staggering. If humans Dr. Shen Korvai had not slept for 3 days. She sat hunched over her analysis console, running genetic comparisons that made no sense according to everything she knew about evolution. The data was clear, but the implications were impossible to accept. Commander Kyle, you need to see this immediately, she called across the observation post. Commander Kyle Vorthak approached her station, his forearms crossed in the gesture his species used when preparing for bad news. What have you discovered? Shen pointed to her genetic analysis display. I have been comparing the DNA of these apex predators to wild predator species from across the galaxy. The results are extraordinary. The screen showed complex genetic maps with highlighted sections. Kyle studied them but could not understand what had disturbed his chief scientist so deeply. Explain what I am seeing, he ordered. These creatures are not natural apex predators, Commander. They are artificial creations, but not in the way we thought. Shen pressed a button and the display changed to show evolutionary timelines. The genetic markers I have been reading as signs of apex predator evolution are actually signs of artificial selection. These creatures have not evolved to be perfect hunters. They have been systematically bred by humans to enhance specific traits Velcorin joined them at the console. You mean humans created these predators? No, Shen said, her voice filled with amazement. It is far more incredible than that. Humans took existing wild predators and over thousands of years they changed them into what we see today. But they did not make them more dangerous. They made them more cooperative. The revelation stunned the team into silence. Kyle stared at the genetic evidence as the implications sank in. You are saying humans domesticated their planet's apex predators? More than domesticated them, Shen replied. They transformed them, completely. Look at these breeding lines. New displays showed the incredible variety of the creatures humans called dogs. Some were tiny, barely larger than a human hand. Others were massive, capable of bringing down creatures twice their size. Some were bred for speed, others for strength, others for intelligence. Humans have been conducting a genetic engineering project for over 10,000 years, Shen continued. But instead of creating weapons, they created partners. Each variety is designed for a different type of cooperation with humans. Down in Seoul, Dr. Park Ji-ho was completely unaware that his daily routine was revolutionizing an alien understanding of evolution. He arrived at his clinic to find an urgent case waiting. A small poodle named Cloud had been hit by a car and needed immediate surgery. The Velthani cameras recorded every moment as Ji-ho worked to save the injured animal. What amazed them was not his skill, but his emotional investment in the outcome. When Cloud's heart stopped during surgery, Ji-ho's stress levels spiked dramatically. Come on, Cloud, he whispered, performing chest compressions on the small predator. Stay with me. Your family is waiting for you. The monitoring equipment detected something extraordinary. Ji-ho's body was producing the same hormones that his species would normally release when trying to save another human. The emotional bond between species was not one-sided. Cloud's heart started beating again, and Ji-ho's relief was measurable on every instrument. He gently stroked the unconscious predator's fur while preparing it for recovery. You are going to be okay, little one, he said softly. I promise. At the Marine Research Center, Dr. Kim Nari was making her own breakthrough discovery. She had finally decoded part of the dolphin communication patterns. Dong-yun, I think I understand what they are trying to tell us, she called to her assistant. Cho Dong-yun hurried over to her analysis station. What did you find, Professor? The dolphins are not just trying to get our attention. They are trying to warn us about something. These sound patterns match danger warnings that dolphins use when orcas or sharks enter their territory. Kim looked out at the water where several dolphin pods had gathered around her research station. They have detected something foreign in their environment, something that does not belong here. What kind of something? Dong-hyun asked. I do not know. But whatever it is, the dolphins consider it a potential threat to us. Unknown to Kim, the dolphins had been trying for weeks to warn the humans about the alien technology hidden in the mountains. Their sophisticated echolocation had detected the Velthani equipment, and their protective instincts toward humans had driven them to raise the alarm. Back at the alien observation post, Commander Kyle was grappling with information that challenged his entire worldview. Shen's analysis had revealed that humans had not just domesticated predators. They had created an entirely new form of evolution based on cooperation instead of competition. Show me the breeding data again, he ordered. Shen brought up genetic timelines showing how humans had selectively bred for specific traits. They enhanced loyalty, intelligence, and protective instincts while reducing aggression toward humans. They created predators that use their abilities to serve instead of dominate. But why? Velcorin asked. What advantage does this give humans? The answer came from their continued observation of human society. The cameras showed police officers working with tracking specialists, rescue teams using the predator's enhanced senses to find missing people, military units where human and predator partners protected each other in combat. The predators amplify human capabilities, Kale realized. Humans gain enhanced senses, physical strength, and unwavering loyalty. The predators gain security, medical care, and protection from other threats. It is perfect symbiosis, Shen agreed. Both species benefit from the partnership. That afternoon, they witnessed the most incredible example yet. Park Ji-ho was called to assist with a rescue operation at a collapsed building. A construction accident had trapped several workers under debris, and rescue teams were having trouble locating them. Search and rescue coordinator Yang Tae-hyung arrived with 3 specially trained predators. Each one was equipped with sensitive hearing and scent detection, far superior to any human technology. "We need to find them quickly," Yang explained to his team. "They have been trapped for 6 hours." The predators immediately went to work, using their enhanced senses to locate the trapped humans. They moved carefully through the dangerous debris, guided by their human partners but acting independently when necessary. The first predator, a German shepherd named Storm, found 2 workers, trapped in an air pocket 20 feet underground. Instead of trying to dig them out himself, Storm returned to Yang and led the rescue team to the exact location. "Good work, Storm," Yang said, giving the predator a brief pat before directing the heavy equipment to the right spot. The Velthani watched as human technology and predator senses combined to save lives that would have been lost otherwise. Neither species could have accomplished the rescue alone, but together they were incredibly effective. "This is beyond symbiosis," Kale said quietly. "This is evolution toward unity." The final revelation came when Shen completed her analysis of human genetic changes over the same time period. The results were shocking. "Commander, humans have been evolving too. Their brain chemistry has changed to enhance bonding with other species. Their hormone production has adapted to form emotional connections with the predators." "You mean humans modified themselves as well as the predators?" Kyle asked. "Not intentionally, but yes. Humans who formed stronger bonds with predators had survival advantages. They were more successful hunters, better protected from other predators, and more likely to reproduce successfully." Velkorin studied the data in amazement. Both species evolved together. They changed each other. As evening approached, the Velthani team faced a decision that would affect galactic history. Their mission had been to assess the threat level of Earth's dominant species. Instead, they had discovered something that could revolutionize relationships between all intelligent species in the galaxy. "We need to make contact," Kale decided. "The Galactic Council must learn about this immediately." "Contact with whom?" Shen asked. "The humans or their predator partners?" Kale looked at the screen showing the 2 species living together throughout Seoul. Human children playing with predators that could kill them. Adults trusting their safety to creatures that had evolved to hunt. "Both," he said. "If we are going to understand this partnership, we need to communicate with both halves of it." Dr. Park Ji-ho finished his day at the clinic and prepared to go home. Buddy waited patiently by the door, tail wagging slowly as he watched his human partner lock up the building. "Ready to go home, boy?" Ji-ho asked. Buddy barked once and fell into step beside him. As they walked through the Seoul evening, neither of them knew that tomorrow would bring visitors from beyond the stars. Visitors who had come to understand the incredible bond between 2 species who had chosen to evolve together rather than apart. The Velthani had expected to find dangerous predators ruling over helpless prey. Instead, they had discovered something far more powerful: the willing partnership between species who trusted each other completely. Tomorrow, that partnership would be tested when Earth learned it was not alone in the universe. Commander Kale Vorthak stood at the edge of the Velthani observation post, looking down at Seoul as the city awakened to another ordinary day. In a few hours, that ordinary day would become the most extraordinary in human history. Today, Earth would learn it was not alone in the universe. "Are you certain this is the right approach, Commander?" asked Dr. Shen Korvai. She was checking her translation devices one final time. "We have observed for 6 weeks," Kyle replied. "We understand enough to make peaceful contact. The Galactic Council needs to learn about this species partnership immediately." Velkorin adjusted the camouflage field around their landing craft. "Why are we choosing the animal doctor as first contact?" "Because Dr. Park Ji-ho represents the best of what we have observed," Kale explained. "He shows care for other species, he communicates effectively with the apex predators, and his emotional responses suggest he will handle our appearance without panic. Down in Seoul, Dr. Park Ji-ho was having a quiet evening at his animal clinic. The last patient had gone home, and he was cleaning his surgical instruments when Buddy suddenly stood up and walked to the window. The golden retriever's ears were forward and alert. "What is it, boy?" Ji-ho asked, looking outside. The street appeared normal. Buddy whined softly and looked back at Ji-ho with an expression that seemed almost worried. His enhanced senses had detected the approaching alien craft long before human technology would notice it. Dr. Shen Korvai materialized in the clinic's main room using Velthani stealth technology. She appeared slowly, her translation device active, hoping to avoid startling the human. Park Ji-ho dropped his cleaning cloth and stared at the three-eyed alien standing in his clinic. His heart rate increased, but he did not run or scream. Instead, he looked at Buddy, who was watching the alien with alert curiosity rather than aggression. "If Buddy is not afraid, then maybe I should not be either," Ji-ho said quietly. Shen was amazed by this response. The human was using his predator companion as an emotional guide to determine threat levels. It was exactly the kind of interspecies cooperation her team had been documenting. "Greetings, Dr. Park Ji-ho," she said through her translation device. "I am Dr. Shen Korvai of the Velthani Exploration Fleet. I mean no harm to you or your companion." Ji-ho looked back and forth between the alien and his dog. Buddy had relaxed slightly but remained alert. "You know my name. You have been watching us." "Yes. My team has been observing your species for 6 weeks. We were sent to assess your world before the Galactic Council makes official contact." "Galactic Council?" Ji-ho asked, his scientific curiosity beginning to overcome his shock. "A union of intelligent species from across this region of space. Earth has been selected for possible membership." At that moment, Dr. Kim Nari burst through the clinic door. Cho Dong-hyun was right behind her, both of them breathing hard from running. "Ji-ho, you need to evacuate immediately," Kim said urgently. "The dolphins have been going crazy all day. They are telling us something big is happening, something dangerous." She stopped talking when she saw the alien standing in the middle of the room. Dong-hyun made a small squeaking sound and stepped behind Kim. "The marine animals detected our technology," Shen explained. "They have been trying to warn you about our presence for weeks. We did not realize they would be so sensitive to our equipment." Kim stared at the alien, her scientific mind racing. "You are the foreign presence they detected. The dolphins were trying to protect us. Your marine species show remarkable intelligence and protective instincts toward humans," Shen agreed. "This was another aspect of interspecies cooperation that amazed my team." Commander Kale and Vel Koren materialized in the room, causing Dong-hyun to make another small sound of surprise. Buddy stood up and moved closer to Ji-ho, positioning himself between the humans and the new arrivals. "The predator is taking a protective stance," Vel Koren observed. "Even in the presence of unknown aliens, its priority is human safety." Kyle stepped forward slowly, his forearms held in a peaceful gesture. "Dr. Park, Dr. Kim, we have been studying your species because we needed to understand something extraordinary." "What do you mean?" Kim asked. "You have accomplished something that no other species in galactic history has achieved," Kale explained. "You have formed true partnerships with your planet's apex predators." Ji-ho looked down at Buddy, who was still watching the aliens but had relaxed when he sensed no immediate threat. "You mean our dogs? They are not apex predators. They are family members." "That is exactly what makes this so remarkable," Shen said. "Your instruments would classify these creatures as among the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Yet you have convinced them to use their abilities to protect and serve you willingly." Kim was beginning to understand. "You came here expecting to find dangerous animals ruling over humans?" "We came here expecting to find typical apex predators," Kale confirmed. "Instead, we found something impossible. We found cooperation where there should be competition. We found partnership where there should be domination." At that moment, Captain Lee Minho of the Coast Guard arrived with his partner Rex. He had received Kim Nari's emergency call and come to help. When he saw the aliens in the clinic, his hand moved toward his radio, but Rex remained calm beside him. If Rex is not attacking, then these visitors are not immediate threats, Minho said, trusting his partner's judgment completely. This is exactly what we mean, Shen said, pointing to the interaction. You use these predators as advisors. You trust their senses and instincts to guide your decisions. Kale watched as more examples of human-dog partnerships filled the room. Each human had arrived with their predator companion, and each predator was focused on protecting their human partner while assessing the alien threat. Your species has evolved something unique in the galaxy, Kale continued. You have created relationships based on mutual benefit rather than domination. Your predators are not slaves or tools. They are willing partners. Jiho knelt beside Buddy and scratched behind his ears. Dogs are not just pets or working animals. They choose to be part of our families. We have evolved together for thousands of years. That is the key word, Velkorin said excitedly. Together. Most species evolve in competition with other species. You evolved in cooperation with them. Kimnari was connecting the dots in her mind. The marine animals were trying to warn us about you because they have the same protective instincts toward humans. Dolphins and whales around Korea have been cooperating with our research teams for years. Your entire planet shows signs of interspecies cooperation, Shen confirmed. It is unprecedented in our galactic experience. Officer Song Minji arrived with Thor, having been called by Captain Lee. Thor immediately assessed the situation and positioned himself where he could watch all the aliens while staying close to the humans. Thor is reading the room, Song observed. He knows this is a tense situation, but he is not attacking because none of us are in immediate danger. Your predators show incredible judgment, Kale said with admiration. They can distinguish between potential threats and actual threats. They respond appropriately to each situation. Yang Taehyung, the rescue coordinator, came through the door with his 3 search dogs. He had heard about the strange gathering and came to investigate. His dogs spread out to cover the room but remained calm and alert. This is amazing, Yang said, staring at the aliens. Are you really from space? We are representatives of the Galactic Council, Kyle explained. We came to assess whether your species would be compatible with our interstellar community. And what did you decide? Jiho asked. Kale looked around the room at the remarkable scene before him. Humans and their dog partners working together to handle first contact with an alien species. No panic, no aggression, just careful cooperation and mutual trust. We have decided that your species has something to teach the entire galaxy, he said. The Galactic Council is constantly dealing with conflicts between member species. Wars break out over territory, resources, and cultural differences. Your approach could change everything, Shen added. If other species could learn to form the kinds of partnerships you have with your predators, it could bring peace to regions that have been at war for centuries. Kimnari stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. You want us to join your council as advisors on interspecies cooperation? More than that, Kale replied. We want to invite Earth to join as a senior member. Your unique approach to building relationships with other species is exactly what the galaxy needs. Lim So-young arrived at the clinic with 2 of her rescue dogs. She had heard about the gathering and wanted to help however she could. Her dogs, both former strays who had been mistreated by humans, still showed complete trust in her. These animals were abandoned and abused by other humans, she explained to the aliens. But they still chose to trust and love again. That is, the power of the bond between our species. Remarkable, Velkorin said. Even after negative experiences, they maintain the capacity for positive relationships. As the evening continued, more humans arrived with their dog companions. Word had spread through the city about the aliens at Dr. Park's clinic. Each arrival brought another example of the human-dog partnership that had fascinated the Velthani team. Children came with their family,